For those of you who may not know, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia just completed its 16th season, helping it maintain its spot as the longest-running live-action sitcom. Longtime fans of the show could probably tell you that the last few seasons were considerably mid, but somehow out of nowhere, the new season was actually really good. In fact, the change was so dramatic that they went from attempting wild gimmicks that completely destroyed the appeal of the show back to simple concepts that made the season feel a good 7 years older. Now at this point, you're probably saying, nah, hold on, Andy, I clicked on this video for bar rescue. You did. But I haven't even told you what makes this new season so special. You get a couple episodes in and you're like, wow, I'm really liking this show again. I've watched 2 episodes, okay? 2. And then you get to episode 3.
We will be sending a producer to do a walkthrough soon. Warmly, your friends at Bar Rescue! Yes!
So what does this mean? Well, as a part-time bar rescue influencer, I'm going to choose to believe that this is all because of me.
Yes!
And what a better way to celebrate than by covering an episode that I have been suggested quite literally every single time I have covered this show. Please watch the pirate-themed bar episode. It's too good. I would love to see you cover the pirate bar episode. Andy season needs 2, to watch the Pirates Tavern. So much shit. How the fuck are you gonna do an episode for the season? Imagine doing a pirate episode. Just wait till you watch the pirate bar episode. So yeah, I watched the pirate one. I've been holding off on this episode for a while, mainly because people had hyped it up to be like the best one, but after watching it, I sort of realized that it's really the most dynamic one.
If things don't change soon, Piratz Tavern in Silver Spring, Maryland will become just another statistic.
So yeah, there you go. It's it's literally a pirate bar. And right, we're not talking like taxidermy bird in the corner and being served in like a barrel-shaped cup. No, we're talking both of those, and you're served by a pirate, and guess what? You're a pirate too, bud. Yep, it's you. You're doing it. It's you now. And I get it, you know, like that sounds like a pretty funny joke, right? You know, it's not a joke.
This isn't just any bar, it's a bar.
Hey, no, okay, come on. We're like 30 seconds in, okay? You can't be doing this yet. Okay, so usually when we're introduced to these bars, we get like sort of a backstory on the inspiration for its creation. And this one doesn't make sense. Apparently, after a long career in corporate communications, the owner, Tracy, threw dude, I'm not even making this up. This is word for word. Tracy threw, quote, a successful pirate-themed Halloween party and wanted to bring the theme to her everyday life.
She wanted to bring this theme to her everyday life.
So within the first 40 seconds of this episode, we've already established that the owner is so dumb. Like my God.
Pirates only attracted a tiny customer base of Renaissance fair reenactors and career pirate performers who live most of their lives in character.
Okay, so it's a Ren Fair bar, like a cosplay bar. Dude, they're gonna send John Taffer into essentially a cosplay business. How is this like not the best episode ever? We meet one of the servers. His name is One-Eyed Mike. Wanna guess why his name is One-Eyed Mike?
They call me One-Eyed Mike because, well, there really only is one eye in Mike.
He says that he's the only pirate you'll ever meet in 200 years that actually lost an eye in a sword duel. Hey guys, I'm a little conflicted about this one because this is either really cool or really fucking sad. Now get this, Tracy has a husband and his name is Juiciano. Juiciano has been hired by her as the head chef, and that would be like such a badass, like cool couple moment if Juiciano had any cooking experience. He doesn't, so that's, you know. We then find out that the bar has one fatal flaw.
We're real pirates. You know, we don't really have a captain, and we just drink and we party all the time.
So basically the employees aren't employees and their job is to drink with other employees? Also, what is this nonsense about them being real pirates and not having a captain? That is not true, okay? You know, like who's gonna make the boat go? What makes this so much worse is the fact that they still have regular customers coming in. They just have no idea what's going on inside.
While actual customers made their way out the door.
We thought it would be fun to come down here, but this was one of the worst experiences ever.
Tracy is $900,000 in debt, and you really need to let that sink in because that is an unbelievable amount of money. I think the most debt we've seen so far in this series is like $400,000 in the last one. Regardless, this is a lot of money, and the main question should be, you know, how are they gonna get out of this? But I just can't help but think, how did they get here? Well, I'm gonna keep it real, that doesn't really matter because this episode is about to provide us with quite the treat. I've gone into quite a bit of detail in the past about John's recon sections.
John is doing his recon section. It's his favorite thing to do. It's the recon.
This time, John is upgraded to a recon device that makes it look like he's guiding a drone strike. Usually for this section, John is joined by some celebrity guest. He really likes Vic Vegas and Russell Davis. Those are just a couple examples. But this time, John is joined by, you guessed it, his fucking wife. Did you guess that?
Honestly, I would rather walk the plank than go back to this dump. No stars.
Wow, I'm dying to go into this place.
Now, this is where things get a little bit sketchy. In the breakdown diagram, we see that there's a whole entry area that they barely use with a really skinny hallway that leads to the bar in the back. Oh, and by the way, if you needed a reminder of just how unfit John and his wife Nicole are to be doing this, just take a look at what Nicole orders.
All of our drinks are listed in the first couple pages, including our wine list.
So I ordered a glass of wine off the menu.
Yeah, a glass of wine. You're looking for trouble with that. I watched my mom order wine at Chuck E. Cheese as a kid, and it still made more sense than this. Like, how is a pirate supposed to sound cool serving that? Arg, here's your Cabernet. Thanks, I'm gonna kill myself. Well, just kidding, I don't feel like it, so that's good. You know what I do feel like doing, though, is enjoying a nice glass of wine. Thanks to today's sponsor, Bright Cellars, I can do just that, baby. Bright Cellars is a wine club that believes that anybody can experience the joy of wine. The process is simple, fun, and oh my god, it's so enticing. I wanted to click everything that I saw on the screen. Simply log on to the Bright Cellars website, take the personalized quiz, and just like that, you have some brand new wine options selected just for you. And you want to know why I really like this system? There is nothing I hate more than someone who goes, what type of wines have you been drinking recently? Shut up! Let me drink the wine that I want, let me do what I want, and you know what? Maybe I just want to drink it because the label looks cool. Nothing wrong with that. Every order comes with these wine cards that match up to the bottles that you've received, and it has cool information like notes and stuff and location. I mean, look at two of these bottles that they sent me though. These are some really, really cool bottles, and I love these wines. The quiz worked great. But you know who loves wine even more than me? My girlfriend. Look, I secretly filmed her stealing and drinking my wine. I did this for you. With 12 different plans to choose from and a vast variety of wines, honestly, I don't know what you're waiting for. And guys, most importantly, when you support Bright Cellars, you support me. So go ahead and use my link to get your first box for $60. That is usually a $150 value. That's a deal. Thanks so much to Bright Cellars for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to that. Anyway, things around the bar are getting fishy, but for some reason the bar is filled with regular people and the staff is being eerily nice.
There's anything else I can do to help facilitate your evening.
Hey, yo, John, get in there! What are you doing? You gonna take that, man? It basically gets to the point where the staff is circling her like dogs, and she gets so uncomfortable that she gets up and leaves. By the way, the show keeps saying that Nicole was made by the staff, like she was some small forest prey.
I think these people know who I am. I've been made.
With Nicole being made by the pirate staff.
But it's like, of course, dude, look at her. It looks like you went to the darkest corporate office in town, pulled the CEO and said, hey, do you know John Taffer? Well, that was pretty scary, right? Yeah, well then John's like, yeah, I knew that would happen.
I knew Nicole would stick out like a sore thumb in this place, but I have a backup plan.
Dude, you just sent your wife into a cosplay dive bar to order a glass of wine. Do you know how dangerous that is? That's like covering yourself in honey and running up to a bear. Except also an hour ago, you put your dick in the dish disposal. So John's feeling as cold as ever. Not even his wife is safe from the destruction of his earth-shattering screams. And he decides that he's gonna call in the owners of a bar that he saved in season 1, Bill and Jen. Not only that, he's gonna shake things up this time, and he's gonna make them dress up as pirates.
Bill and Jen Rodenheiser owe me a favor, so I'm having them come out and be my spies tonight.
Yeah, thanks for saving our bar, John. We'd love to humiliate ourselves. Like, this is so crazy, though, right? Like, imagine being so bound by the balls that you and your wife are willing to help John create his own fantasy factory. You guys owe me one, all right? Now let's play dress up. Anyway, they go into the bar and they wait in that front area for someone to seat them, but no one shows up. But when they finally sit themselves down, they have to deal with this.
Oh, just gonna seat yourselves whatever the you like, are you?
I don't know what's worse, the uncomfortable stuttering from the server or the fact that Bill and Jen just aren't trying to blend in at all.
Sir, can we get some menus?
Hey, can we get some menus? Can we get some menus? Like, come on, bro, you're already in the costume. You don't have much else to lose, right? This guy's swinging around a club. Wonder if we'll see him again. And Bill and Jen order the grog. I know.
A regular or top shelf? All depends on how groggy you want to feel the next day.
I'd like to feel rather groggy, please.
Looks like grog is a combination of rum, sugar, and water brought to a boil. Wow, sounds like it would literally turn your intestines into glass. They end up hating that shit and decide to order the fresh catch. And honestly, like, come on, can you give them a break? Like, you know what's gonna happen. Like, did they hate it? Yup. But you can't go to a novelty bar and expect the catch of the day to be like a delicate crusted tuna steak. That means so far, John has sent 2 parties in to order the fanciest items possible, and it really just feels like he's taking cheap shots here. Personally, I'm starting to feel like John just has this weird vendetta against pirates, but we'll get there in a second. They report their findings to John, and apparently some guy inside was doing a Fortnite dance. They got freaked out by that. But after hearing about these atrocities, John makes a statement that, like, I want to call it racist or something, but I don't know. It just sounds really offensive.
This is a strange one because it runs deep. It's more than just food, more than just beverage. There's a cultural thing in this business that's killing it.
Right, like I'm hearing culture, but I'm feeling like cancer. So now it's time for John to head in and get a good look at the place for himself. Usually when John walks into these bars, he waddles in with this fierce sort of swagger, but something about this place is clearly fucking with him because he immediately walks in with the 1,000-yard stare. Now remember how I just said that it feels like John has a pirate vendetta? Personally, I'm starting to feel like John just has this weird vendetta against pirates.
The problem with this bar is the concept. It's a pirate bar. Corporate people don't want to go have lunch.
Well, hold on, John. Who the fuck said anything about corporate lunches? Once again, this is a role-play club, okay? I feel like we keep forgetting that very important fact. I'm not pulling up here for an Americano and a chicken Caesar wrap before my meeting. No, if anything, this is a night spot, baby. That's what John should be focusing on here, you know? Like, have you ever seen a group of lawyers at a Margaritaville? You know, they'll be talking about that shit for months. When John asks Tracy why she wanted to run a pirate bar, she tells him that it's the ultimate adult fantasy and that it's dangerous and sexy. Yeah, I'm definitely about to bust.
How are you surviving?
I live with my parents in the basement of their house.
Yeah, she also lives there with her husband and her 7-year-old daughter. So, DJ, play that track. No, that's not. John thinks that Tracy is delusional, which I will say is fair, but also so is John. Yes, the bar is losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yes, they need to fix it, but John is just focused on happy hour. Like, what the fuck? If you haven't noticed yet, the vibe of this intro section is very different compared to other episodes. Usually when John rushes in, the staff gets super pissed and they all just start yelling at each other. But this time the owner is so calm and straightforward that it almost makes John more angry. In fact, he gets so heated that he just starts repeating the same line of questioning over and over just to get himself worked up.
Are you ashamed?
No.
You're not ashamed?
No.
If you're not ashamed, what makes you ashamed? You're not ashamed of what you're doing. Are you ashamed of the food that was served tonight?
I'm really not sure why John is so obsessed with getting her to admit that she's ashamed. Like, truly, this is one of the first times where I have no idea what his angle is. But Giussiano, a cook with no experience, mind you, he decides he's gonna stick up for his food.
The food is good.
Your food is the worst I've ever seen. It stinks.
Dude, what an epic John Byrne roast. I love when John gets all defensive when people try to derail his tactics. You know, we've seen in the past that John is no stranger to, you know, the occasional playground insult, but I don't know, man. Sometimes they hit so well. It's awesome. So John gets all heated up with Giussiano.
Let me explain something to you.
But Giussiano just verbally beats his ass with every response. It's great.
Because you blew it.
Because the customer.
No, you blew it.
So now John kind of has it out for Giussiano, and he begins to suggest that one of the main issues with the bar is him. While the show explains this, though, I mean, like, look at John. I mean, this place is confusing the shit out of him. But with the crew being 5 days out from their grand opening, John sits them all down to say, what up? Naturally, he just starts getting loud for no reason and calls this one server out for smirking, even though he couldn't look more emotionless.
No, it's not funny at all.
That's good to hear.
Neither is a grown man yelling at the top of his lungs at people who aren't children.
Well, you're dressed like a 6-year-old child.
I wrote a pretty good joke for this clip. It's just worst person to play Sea of Thieves with. Right? Yeah. So all the pirates are pretty fed up with John's antics at this point, including One-Eyed Mike, who got very hurt by the 6-year-old comment. But one of the bartenders, who goes by the name of Rouge, which is pretty sick, she sort of has the most compelling argument for the bar that no one has really brought up yet.
It's a pirate bar. You don't like it, get the out.
But like, isn't she so right? John is so obsessed with making this place appealing to the working class man, but that's just not the point. And I get that he's here to also help them out of their financial ruin, but remember, we're talking about almost $1 million. Is there anything he can do to actually help them? Well, I guess we'll find out, because here we are with only 3.5 days until the relaunch, and it's time for John to bring in his first celebrity guest. Now, let's be real, guys. There is not a single person that John could bring in that would actually make sense. You could give me Bobby Flay and the fucking Pope, and I would still be no closer to learning anything about pirate lingo. Guess it makes sense that they brought in this guy, though. Literally the fanciest chef possible. What are you doing? This is Chef Josh Capon. Capone? Fuck, I don't know. The guy who's supposedly gonna fix Giussiano, and I gotta say, the DLC character cards in this episode are not very epic. It's a little disappointing. You know what else is disappointing? The fact that their menu is 18 pages long.
On average, customers spend 109 seconds reading and deciding their menu choice.
Yeah, okay, sure. Maybe for a rookie.
3, 2, 1,
go! Done. I want chicken tenders. Okay, so Josh decides to test Giussiano by having him make the bar's signature dish, which he calls burning bits.
Right. Do it.
Yeah, well, turns out Giussiano hasn't even tried his own food because he takes a taste too and spits it out. So the food sucks. Let's see what else is wrong.
The bar staff is drowning as well.
Oh, there it is. They always pull that shit. I haven't seen a single episode of Bar Rescue where someone working the bar isn't a piss-drunk nuisance. It would seem that this time, though, it's everyone. So that is so cool. Anyway, to combat this issue, John calls in Elaine Duke, and I was gonna say that she doesn't make sense either, but actually, you know, she kind of does. I can't explain it. She's the head mixologist at Diageo, which they say is the world's leading premium drink business.
The world's leading premium drinks business.
And that description sounded a little general to me, you know, like, oh, we own drink. Okay, but like they do. Look at this. They literally own drink. She's basically like one of the mini bosses that you have to beat to get to the big boss, like the guy who owns the people who own drink. Anyway, Elaine comes out the gate asking about the grog, and okay, that's a pretty normal inquiry.
Ginger beer, cloves, lime, and amaretto.
Okay. Wow.
But that doesn't really sound like what we looked up earlier. Looks like grog is a combination of rum, sugar, and water brought to a boil. Wow. Honestly, this sounds a little better. Yeah, that sucks. And unfortunately, all of the drinks are like this. It's sugar upon straight liquor and nothing else. Once again, I want to critique this, but we're in a pirate bar.
Now the John's experts have spent some time.
Oh God, again with the whole fingering. Why does this show have so many hyperfixations? Also, what are the chunks? John brings Josh and Elaine outside to break down their findings, and John and Josh just start chopping it up like it's an episode of The Sopranos.
What do we do, buddy? How do you fix it?
Giussiano, we gotta teach him how to cook. He's never been taught how to cook.
So what do we do? Bring somebody in?
I mean, I think so.
Yep. Elaine.
And the gang concludes that this place needs a total overhaul.
There's 15,000 workers within a couple of blocks of this bar. But candidly, they don't want to eat with pirates.
Yeah, because it's a fucking pirate. Who cares? It's funny that John hates pirates so much because he coincidentally rolls out what looks like a giant treasure map to plan with Tracy. John's approach to this bar is rather, crusade-like. And that sounds like a joke, yeah, until you hear him say this.
We have to win this war. And we're not going to win this war as a pirate party.
That's like the literal definition of a crusade, a vigorous campaign for political, social, or religious change. Also, if we want to get more specific, he even mentions war, so we're really just watching an absolute annihilation of culture here. So John pretty much implies that they need to entirely change the concept of the bar, which Tracy is very against. John does raise a good point, though, in saying that this bar could be successful somewhere in, like, Florida, but they're in the middle of Maryland.
So completely and totally changing every aspect of this that has survived for 5 years.
Yes.
This episode is really interesting to me because I feel like for the first time, I'm really just watching a real world problem here that has nothing to do with the show's intended goal. The show thinks that by changing the face and personality of the business, it'll save it, when in reality, we're watching a live example of a large corporation taking advantage of and ruining a small business. Yes, the business was fucked as it is, but Tracy brings up a good point. It had already been surviving for a number of years. I assume the success is more cultural, as John likes to put it, but but it feels like he's just sucking out its soul.
Businesses don't have souls. Businesses are profit centers.
Oh, well, there you go.
Do you want to be a pirate or do you want to send your daughter to college?
At this point, he's basically pinning her to a wall. John has just been barking criticism this entire episode, but apparently that was enough to get her to cave. So no joke, they are about to wipe this bar clean. When they announce the change to the rest of the staff, Tracy tries to sugarcoat it, but John is just so over it.
We have to push more towards a corporate atmosphere and less towards a pirate atmosphere.
Not less. Pirates is dead.
Then John's like, guys, I gotta fill this place for happy hour or we're fucked! That same pirate that spoke up last time John was talking to them, he actually speaks up again, but this time John just does this.
I think I'll reserve my judgment to see how well you do exactly what you said.
And then he walks out to begin what I assume to be the beginning of his career as a villain.
I am not gonna be berated by some overbearing ass.
He's totally an actor, oh my god. And honestly, the more that I watch, like, I think that all of these people are actors. Like, listen to this fucking monologue.
This is what I believed in. This is the dream I've strove for. This is the thing I've sacrificed for day in and day out and bled for.
But John is basically like, hey, shut up, I'm gonna fix it. Now that John has his hands on the business, that little monster is antsy, so he starts removing all of the Pirates branding the next morning. This day is basically about rehabilitating the staff for the soft opening that night, and part of this is bringing in this guy named Jason, a line cook who is, quote, straight out of culinary school.
John has brought in Jason, a new line cook, straight out of culinary school to help support him.
So we're gonna trust him, okay? All right, thank you. Thank you, Jason. John legitimately wants the branding of the establishment to go from pirate roleplay to business networking. And to do this, he wants to introduce some small plates to the menu. In doing this, Giussiano mistakes shrimp for lobster at one point, and Chef Josh gets fucking pissed.
You think this is lobster?
Shrimp, yeah.
What is this?
Shrimp.
Okay, you want to be a chef or you want to play games?
Over in the bar, Elaine is teaching the bartender some new drinks. Luckily, they all have a good grasp on the actual practice of bartending. They just, they don't know how to make they don't know how to do the drink part. She teaches them 2 drinks, which I'm flashing on the screen now. Both of them honestly seem pretty mid, so, you know, that's upsetting. But the one thing that I almost forgot about, and I don't know why, is the fact that they've basically been serving as pirates forever. So to combat this, they bring in a service expert, Jessie Barnes. She trains staff at one restaurant and specializes in etiquette and timing. She makes the mistake of picking One-Eyed Mike as the first trainee, and that goes so well.
Good evening and welcome, ladies. What brings you here this evening?
But when Jesse tries to give him an adjustment, he just, it's hard to watch.
So let's talk like a normal person. You know, I'm just...
What do you want me to do? Like, this is just...
So, yeah, everything today kind of sucked, but there's no time to worry about that because it's time for the soft opening. Allegedly, everyone is prepped and ready, but by the looks of the workflow, I'd say things are going pretty mid. Also, One-Eyed Mike, who at this point has displayed nothing but struggle, he is so rude to Jesse.
Can't even breathe, you standing right here. Can't concentrate.
Speaking of being rude, Giussiano is, I mean, just being the absolute worst in the kitchen.
What time is the kitchen closed?
Giussiano, pick
What
up.
time is the kitchen
Don't ask
closed?
me what time the kitchen
I don't give a
closed.
what you're
You're a
talking about.
restaurant.
This argument actually causes him to walk out and straight up quit, so now we're down 2 staff members, and things are looking bleak. But John and his team try their best to get everyone out of the mud, and it actually ends up working. I think it's so funny that the show brings Jason in, that line cook, out of nowhere, because by the end of the night, they just start revering him as a godlike chef, simply because of the fact that he's the only person left.
Jason, you stepped in and you fought for us. Good job tonight.
Thank you very much. I was very, very impressed with Jason.
But at the big breakdown at the end of the night, Giussiano actually comes back, which is super surprising. I mean, I guess it took 0 convincing, but they bring him back only to punch him in the gut. They tell him he's gonna be a runner from now on. And so, you know, he immediately gets pissed. And now we've arrived at the final part of the process where John completely guts the place, strips it of its identity. You know, it's his now. But in order to get the crowd that he wants, John dresses everyone up in suits and ties and has them go to local offices to hand out flyers. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, John has made it abundantly clear throughout this episode that he wants to strip the business, you know, change it and start anew. And I was hearing him, but I guess I wasn't really listening because this rebrand is, I mean, quite possibly the most backhanded and offensive act that I have ever seen.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, that's just...
Corporate Bar and Grill. You cannot tell me that that is not the biggest slap in the face of all time.
I mean, you're making these people become their own greatest enemy more than they already were.
Aside from it being mean, it's also just a highly unappealing branding and aesthetic choice.
The staff is apprehensive, but I feel great about this place.
I don't know about this.
It looks nice, like cool, but it just feels like nothing was really achieved here. In fact, they just replaced it with a less creative business. They even put in an automatic drink machine. Like those are so nasty. It's no fun. So Tracy and Giussiano quickly become very unhappy, and John, well, he's worried, all right.
Trace, are you unhappy?
Yes, she is. I mean, you've taken her life's work, turned it into a corporate money machine, and said, okay, we'll be in touch. What?
Corporate Bar and Grill remained open for only a few days. Tracy closed it and officially reopened as Piratz within a few weeks after the launch. Tracy still lives with her parents' basement with, oh, great. All right, there you go. I had to spit in the mouth one more time, huh? Well, you guys weren't lying. That episode was pretty insane. But you know what? I'm really happy because I was nervous going into this episode because I was expecting it to be like the zenith of bar rescue. And honestly, after watching this, I don't feel like we've reached that zenith yet. Guys, if you enjoyed this video and this journey, please feel free to like, subscribe, and, you know, you can leave a comment if you want. That's really the feel free part. Interact. That being said, that's really all I have for you in this episode. So, yeah, until next time.
This felt really good. I felt like really popping. Look, I got an episode up right now. Oh, John just went, P.U.